The United Healthcare CEO shooting suspect has been indicted. Reported drone sightings have sparked online panic. And a D.C. restaurant is banning people under 30. That's some of what we'll get to on the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn, in for Hannah Jewell. It's Wednesday, December 18th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. Police continue to investigate the motive behind the Wisconsin school shooting. On Monday, a 15-year-old girl killed 2 people and wounded 6 others at her school in Madison. She died of an apparent self-inflicted wound. Police have released few details about the attacker beyond her name, Natalie Rupnow. They have asked for patience as they investigate Rupnow's social media activity and state of mind leading up to the rampage. With much still unknown, a Washington Post review of court records points to an unsettled childhood for Rupnow. Her parents' custody agreements sometimes forced her to move between homes every few days. The teen is one of just 9 female school shooters in the past 25 years. She's also among the younger recent shooters. Last night, hundreds of community members gathered in Madison to hold a candlelight vigil for the victims. Michael Johnson, president of Dane County's Boys and Girls Club, said he's had enough.
I'm tired of going to these events. I'm now almost 50 years old, and I've been to 25, 30 of these since I've been 18. And it just keep happening and happening and happening, and we just got to do better.
This year alone, more than 31,000 children across 21 states have been affected by a school shooting on a K-12 campus during school hours. One more note about this story. The Madison police chief made a correction. The 911 call came from a second-grade teacher, not a student. The United Healthcare CEO shooting suspect has been indicted on murder charges. That's number 2. Yesterday, Luigi Mangione was charged with 11 counts in connection with the killing of Brian Thompson. That includes 1 count of murder in the first degree that was, quote, in furtherance of an act of terrorism. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg announced the charges yesterday and described the murder as carefully choreographed.
This was a frightening, well-planned, targeted murder that was intended to cause shock and attention and intimidation.
Mangione has been fighting extradition to New York, where Thompson was killed this month, but there are signs that he might change course. Officials say he could appear in court in New York as soon as tomorrow or Friday. Number 3. Donald Trump sued the Des Moines Register newspaper and its former pollster. Last month, just 3 days before the presidential election, the Des Moines Register released an astonishing poll. It showed Trump trailing Vice President Kamala Harris in the Republican-leaning state of Iowa. The news from a highly respected pollster caused a national stir and raised some Democrats' hopes of a Harris victory. It turned out to be very wrong. Trump ended up winning Iowa by about 13 points, but the poll clearly made Trump very mad. In his lawsuit, Trump alleges that the poll amounted to election interference. He offered no substantive evidence to support that. This action is the latest in a series of Trump lawsuits targeting news and media companies. It comes just days after ABC News settled a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump, agreeing to pay $15 million. Leaders in Congress reached a deal to avert a government shutdown. That's number 4. Without new legislation, government agencies will shut down at 12:01 a.m. Saturday. But yesterday, there was a breakthrough. A deal was reached that would punt the deadline into March. If it passes, the deal would provide more than $100 billion in disaster relief after a destructive hurricane season in the fall. It would also allocate $10 billion in extra farm aid, and it would pave the way for a possible new Washington Commander Stadium at the site of the old RFK Stadium. But it's not a done deal. It will probably need bipartisan support to pass Congress, and House Republican infighting could endanger the agreement. Number 5. Mysterious drone sightings have sparked online panic.
I don't know, man. That's weird. I've lived here 30 years, and I've never seen anything like that in the sky. Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Katuitt.
In recent weeks, people have claimed to have seen large drones flying in the skies over New Jersey and other states. Federal agencies have received thousands of reports. They're investigating, but say there's no known threat. Earlier this week, White House National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby spoke about this investigation.
We have not identified anything anomalous or any national security or public safety risk over the civilian airspace in New Jersey or other states in the Northeast. Our assessment at this stage is that the activity represents commercial, hobbyist, law enforcement drones, all operating legally and lawfully, and or civilian aviation aircraft.
Despite officials urging calm, a wave of online anxiety has spread to multiple states. On TikTok, one video cast the supposed drones as a, quote, invasion designed to target sensitive infrastructure. On Facebook and X, posts say the sightings are evidence of a U.S. military surveillance campaign. None of the claims are substantiated, but the mass panic shows that the pipeline from trending content to full-blown conspiracy theory has never been shorter. A panel warned against vitamin D and calcium use to prevent falls in older adults. That's number 6. Many people, especially those 65 and older, use vitamin D and calcium supplements in the hope of preventing falls and fractures. But according to a group of experts, there isn't enough evidence to support the supplement's effectiveness, and the pills may increase the risk of kidney stones. Falls are the top cause of injury-related death among seniors, and the warning, which was released yesterday, underscores the risks of taking supplements without prior testing and diagnosis. But the task force said that patients whose medical providers have suggested using supplements as part of their clinical regimen are recommended to continue with that guidance. And at number 7, a DC cafe is banning customers under 30. Cafe 8 is a Mediterranean restaurant and hookah bar on Capitol Hill. For years, its owners have wondered how they could keep their patrons' noise down around their establishment, which backs up to a residential neighborhood. Finally, last month, they came up with a solution. They wanted to take a step to attract an older clientele rather than the younger, rowdier crowds. So they adopted a policy banning patrons under 30 after 8:30 p.m. But while the family introduced the policy to help keep the peace, it might run afoul of the law. Under federal law, age is not a protected class in service settings. But in DC, businesses aren't allowed to discriminate against people for their age, as long as they're over 18. Whatever its legal status, Cafe 8's policy seems to have drawn some support from its clientele. Although one 20-something said she was sad she'd have to wait until 2026 to go back to her favorite spot. That's the show for today. Thanks for listening. If you're enjoying the podcast, a great way to support our work is through a subscription to the Washington Post. And right now, we have a great sale. An all-access digital subscription is just $29 for the first year. Subscribe to the Post by going to washingtonpost.com/subscribe. I'm Christina Quinn, and I'll meet you back here tomorrow.